Ooh. Ooh. I've never had this. Venom. Tastes kind of like a rock star. Not gonna lie. And something got on my leg. I hope it wasn't that. Got on my desk. Okay. So, the question, which to buy? Vintage or modern? Which to get? Question I've been wrestling with is which to buy, or rather, what to invest in? Vintage or modern figures? If we are purely looking at the resale value, the vintage seems to be the way to go. For instance, I bought I'll get it here, the box at least. Oh, it's huge. Ugh. I bought a reissue of the Jumbo Machinder Raideen. Put him back. All my stuff that fell everywhere. Got boxes out the wazoo. Which is the same size as the original, but the technology has improved and it's far less hollow and flimsy when compared to the original. For the price that I paid for the reissue, I could have bought an American release of the, as they were dubbed when they hit the States, Jumbo Machineders. But for the same amount of money I paid for the Japanese reissue that I just showed you, I could have gotten a really beat up American Jumbo Machineder rating without a box. While the original Japanese version holds its value greatly, especially if it's in the box, it can be a bit untouchable, for me at least. Jumbo Machineders can be nearly untouchable, and they aren't the most attractive, at least to my generation, because my generation thinks that they look way too kiddie, and they're like, and they have rocket fist type stuff. But someone from Gen X who grew up with the American Jumbos, or if they're Japanese, they grew up with the legit ones. They adore them. They will say that they're the only way to go. But when it comes to at least the Raideen Jumbo, the originals will hold their value for at least as long as Gen X is still alive and kicking. I'm not sure if there will be a drop off in price on the originals once Gen X has passed away, kind of like how the classic American muscle cars will probably tank in price because there isn't a big enough following or interest in them from Gen Z. And if there is, the majority of Gen Z doesn't have the means and know how to restore them because people, and I'm tattling on myself, are too afraid of messing up because the mess up will cost money and time, and a bunch of us just don't want to learn how to fix hiccups in the road because we're lazy and just can't be bothered to be dealing with it. That's not a good thing. We need to do things. Don't be afraid to mess up. That's how you learn. But back to the point. After consulting a database of knowledge that indexes multiple markets, not just the Japanese robot figure market, and has the ability to make more educated predictions based on, like I said, other markets, it stated that the figures will keep their value, are the ones that are complete in the box, even after the Gen Xers pass away. Because there's a remnant of collectors like me, uh, Gen Z, that still care about these niche figures, and obviously they wouldn't be making the reissues that you just saw if there wasn't still a market for them. But I am not sure if, I'm not sure what the percentage of that is being consumed by my generation versus Gen X. So what can we conclude? I would say that we can conclude that the Japanese and the original figures will hold their value far better than the modern releases. But with time, that will fluctuate accordingly. And I believe that we will see prices go down somewhat because people that don't care about the history behind it will be trying to just offload these things. And then once they get back into the hands of collectors like me, I think the prices will uptrend slightly, but probably not quite to how they were prior to the death of Gen X. Now the question is, well, what about articulation and posability, and what materials make up the figure? Die-cast metal being a highly attractive feature to a collector, mainly found in vintage. Let me get it, if I can. Move this. In vintage Godaikin figures, that lack of the articulation and gimmicks that modern collectors want, but now there is a line called Soul of Chogokin, which I would get the box, but it's way too far down. I've got a Soul of Chogokin Gale Fygar. It's very, very nice. In which both the ST and the DX figures contain some form of die-cast metal, and they have far better proportions than the originals. I'll grab Gale Gygar. I'll get the original, and then I'll show you the Soul of Chogokin version. So here's the original. I've reviewed it. You've seen it. The proportions are not great. It's still a cool figure, but it has zero die-cast metal apart from, I don't even think that you would call screws die-cast metal. They're just screws. I don't know if screws are die-cast or not. I don't know. I'm dumb. I never claimed to be smart. But then you've got the Soul of Chogokin, Gale Fygar, and the proportions are great. And he's got die-cast metal all in his legs, some in the chest. I mean, he's nice. It's a nice figure. The Soul of Chogokin line is very bougie, as some people would say. And the posability is great, and he has fully articulated fingers, which of course the original has none of. Yeah. So they make that. When going into the realm of Gundam, there hasn't been many new DX Gundam figures released that aren't model kits, that are devoid of die-cast metal, but they have gimmicks and the articulation to make up for that the modern generation is interested in, and it is far more affordable. However, I doubt that they will hold their value as well as the originals because of factors such as the individual build quality, whether or not the model box is kept, and whether or not the model kit has been custom painted like I have with this mega-sized RX-78-2. And I also bought aftermarket decals, water slides for it. The custom painting can make it either appreciate, or if it's undesirable to the specific person, can make it depreciate. But that is a very subjective variable, and it's not really a rock hard, bare bones reality. It's very, very subjective. I think that we will see that the original figures will appreciate in Gundam because Gundam has spanned multiple generations with new series and model kits to boot. which I think will help with the longevity of the value of not just the vintage figures, but also the model kits. So I think that this will probably hold its value better than the new jumbos because there's new things coming out that keep Gundam relevant. And I think that this, the Academy Gundam, which is the same scale as that mega size one, except it's a bit bigger. I don't know if the Mark II Gundam is bigger than Amuro's RX-78-2 in the show. I'm not sure. But one is also older, and the scales are probably a little off, which is fine. They still look great together, in my opinion. Anywho. So, I would say for you, the deciding factor for vintage or modern is what is your collecting purpose. Do you just have the figure or model to say that you have it, or are you looking at it from a investment perspective? And if you're looking to just collect, you might as well go towards the modern stuff and just enjoy it. And you will likely still make some money back in the end if you choose to sell it. If you're looking to invest, then go for the niche, rare, vintage figures complete in the box, especially and specifically the Japanese figures from the prominent franchises like Gundam that aren't dead in the water with no new content being produced to have it be pushed to the younger masses. That is my analysis of this question that I posed to myself. I pray you all have a blessed day. Jesus loves you. Peace.